Amen. My deductive outline today is about a made-up mind. The text is coming from Philippians 3:12-15, where the Apostle Paul is talking about pressing towards the mark, doing one thing that he does, and that's forgetting what is behind him so he can look forward and move forward with God and reach his ultimate goal, which is the prize for which God has called him for heaven towards. I have 3 points to make. My first point is Paul's Christian attitude and purpose, which starts with "but one thing I do." In those, Paul has an obsession, which is, of course, moving towards that mark. The second point is Paul is going to do what he has to do regardless of what others do. My focus statement is to show how we can have final triumph with a made-up and resolute mind. My function statement is the sermon is intended to point out how the Christian attitude and purpose has been given to all believers to move forward and not backward. Our ultimate goal is to move forward with God and not to focus on what's in the back. The introduction is, in this text we find Paul with a single-mindedness and a certain Christian attitude and purpose that is essential in reaching a mark and prize. To reach it, we can't keep looking back or looking in the past or holding on to achievements lest we fall and stumble. The second point is having a resolute mind, which the Apostle Paul had. He forgot what was behind. Paul forgets what is behind him. He focuses on what is ahead. We shouldn't live in the past. We should be spiritually focused in the future. Because if we're spiritually focused in the future, we can keep our mindset on God. We shouldn't be hindered by our past or stumble over our past. We should forget our mistakes and our failures that hold us back and cause us to stumble. And we should also forget our achievements and successes, because we have a tendency to think that we are the only ones that are responsible for our success and our failure, which would cause us to have a stumbling block. The third point is that Paul was ready for maturity. He was ready for new things, and he was ready for new conquests. In order to do this, Paul had to stay the course. It's kind of like riding a bicycle. If you fall off, to learn how to ride, you want to get back on, and you want to keep getting back on until you master riding a bicycle, which is also like mastering your faith. You master keeping yourself moving forward. The second point to that is that sometimes we have to be pressed instead of pressing into. So sometimes things have to press on us to make us move forward. And the third point is that Paul was ready to explore his new faith. He was ready to move forward with God, and he had that resolute mind to move forward. And in conclusion, the price that we are doing is that we have a choice to move into our high calling with God. We have the glory of being resurrected. We have new and transformed minds, and we are being included in the reign of God, which is getting us to heaven. The gospel tells us that we had a possibility of life eternal, yet the reality of life beyond death, the truth of life with God, is so substantial and so all-pervading and so overpowering that we are not depressed but uplifted. So our final goal is to stay uplifted, to stay focused, to keep focused on the prize, and still live in the promise of life in Christ, in where we need to be at to move forward and what is expected.